story that is coming to us from the world of cricket. Now, what the BCCI has said today and made very clear today is this. They are saying that Team India will not travel to Pakistan for the Asia Cup. Now, hosting rights for the 2023 Asia Cup have been given to Pakistan, but with BCCI making its stand very clear, what will possibly happen, and this is something that Jay Shah has said, what will possibly happen is that the Asia Cup will now be shifting to possibly a neutral venue. Let me go across to our guests who are joining us this evening. Charu Sharma is a sports commentator who is joining us on the broadcast, and Rahul Mehra is a Supreme Court lawyer, tracks cricket very closely. He's joining us on the broadcast as well. Charu Sharma, thank you very much for your time here on Mirror. Now, can I start by asking you this? If India doesn't play Pakistan, either in Pakistan or in India on grounds of principle, then how does that principle not apply to neutral venues? Is it time for us to rethink Indo-Pak cricketing ties? And I ask you this question at the risk of being called anti-national.
Well, you're sucking me into this discussion as well, and I'm going to be trolled pretty heavily. Or anybody who suggests that sports should win over politics is going to be trolled anyway, because such is, I suppose, the mood of, I don't know, a very large section of the people. I've always maintained that sports should somehow, for some reason, be kept in a separate category because it is a joiner, it is a cementer, it is something that brings people together. As we know, sport, all caste, religion, creed, everything else, we keep mouthing those cliches. And yet, in this one case particularly, as far as we're concerned, we're still not playing each other on each other's soil. We are playing each other on neutral territory. I suppose you could extend that to other areas, other countries where there's some conflict. I mean, there was this whole thing about Russia not being included in various sporting plans. China, too, when they came up with a few things that didn't appeal to those who run sports or those who are the guardians of sport. So it's not the only such situation in the world. But I do think it's time that, through maybe diplomacy, track two, whatever other technical terms there are, we at least start playing sport to have some normalization of relationships between these two countries. We are neighbors. I admit that there are lots of other political and I suppose terrorism problems or whatever else, people would like to claim. But can we not attempt to try and bridge that gap? So I'd be very happy if India play in Pakistan, Pakistan play in India. And I have to admit that Pakistan, through my good friend Ramiz Raja, has always claimed we are ready to play in India or India to invite India to Pakistan. He's talking about some other four-nation cup between India and so on and so forth. But it's not happening yet. And we have to, bear with the sensitivities of the political situation.
But what completely confuses me is this, Charu, and help me understand what you make of it. If India was not to play, and we understand that Team India traveling to Pakistan or Pakistan traveling to India, it's not happened in the last 10 years. It's a prickly issue. The BCCI requires the go-ahead from the government of India, etc., etc. I completely understand that. What I fail to understand is why Pakistan was given, hosting rights in the first place for the Asia Cup, if you knew that India would not travel.
Well, no one really knows or guarantees that India will not travel. I suppose these things have to go around the various nations that play the Asia Cup. And Pakistan has as much of a right to host it as any other country. Sri Lanka, as you know, of course, had their own problems and the tournament was shifted to the UAE. So here, too, I suspect the ICC or the Asian Cricket Council might well imagine that if India are just absolutely refusing as we go along, well before the date, of course, to travel to Pakistan, then maybe there is a bailout in the UAE or some other country. So it's a question of awarding it by rotation to a certain country that's happy to host. But if there's a major team missing because of some other situation, no sporting body likes that, to be dictated to, but they will probably just shift it to another venue. Should Pakistan agree to relinquishing the hosting rights or hosting it by proxy in the Middle East or wherever else?
I think UAE has already been selected as a venue, if I'm not mistaken,
well,
and they may not have a choice in this case. Yeah, they may not have a choice in this case. Before I let you go, a quick word on, I know I'm just deviating a bit. I think you've already made your stand, your position on whether, India and Pakistan need to relook their cricketing ties clear. I quickly want to ask you about what you make of this entire controversy that has played around Sourav Ganguly and the BCCI. Any thoughts on that at all? Or do you think that was simply unnecessary and political?
I don't know if it's unnecessary and political. And my thoughts are, for starters, I don't know enough about what transpired. I haven't talked to Sourav or anyone else, one of the protagonists or the people who really matter. But it could well be sort of a stepping back for a while. And, the sports code is a very complicated code. Rahul Mehra is obviously waiting to have his turn, and he'll give you everything that you need to know about the potential of the sports code. But it's made by people who are not essentially following the code themselves. So there are plenty of, if I may say so, holes in the sports code, and which is why it's not, such a firm act or law yet, but it's set to be. I do think this is a step back because for the moment, it's a temporary setback because, or step back, not setback, because I do think he has other bigger roles in mind. He's played the president of the BCCI, so now there's no sense for him to go and play smaller roles for states and whatever else. The only thing that Sourav has now left is the presidentship or some very senior position in the ICC and take cricket forward from a global perspective, a macro level. And I'm sure he will do that very soon. I don't see too much political maneuvering here because I don't know enough, but I'm not so sure it's a party-led decision from one party to the other. I mean, Sourav, as we all know, and this is my parting sentence, is no fool. And he's a very smart young man, or, well, now middle-aged, whatever. And he would have taken a very considered decision, or his acceptance of whatever's going on would have been very considered because he knows he has a much larger role to play as he goes along in the world of cricket. He's now an accepted administrator of the richest, biggest cricket body in the world. So why would he not go on now and be accepted in a major global role as well as he goes along in cricket?
All right, Charu. We'll leave it there for the moment. I think there's a problem with Rahul Mehra's internet connection. So we haven't managed to patch up with him. I'll just let this go here.
All right.
We'll just let it go. We'll just let it go here. Thank you very much, Charu, for joining us on the broadcast here on Mirror Now. Thank you very much indeed.
Welcome.
I'm slipping into a quick break on the show. Around